Hey guys, how you doing? This is a new part of your calculator. We're gonna see today how Banxico or any other central bank starts an auction with the bonds. So a little bit of going backwards in our class. If you remember, rates can go up and down and they can be moved by the central bank. Okay, they can deliberate and move it as they wish, up or down, or they have this mechanism which is called bond auction. Okay, so in this example I'm gonna build this calculator using CETES, which is the most common type of auction, and you will see how the central bank uses this mechanism to control monetary supply. Okay, so in this part I'm gonna build almost all the calculator with you, but you gotta start putting this data, auction money, and I'm gonna assume Banxico is gonna auction 17,000 million of CETES. You're gonna understand the process of it. So copy this information. The face value of a CETES is 10 pesos. Time in days, I'm gonna use the CETES of 182 days. And I'm gonna assume that all the banks asked for this money and this was the balance remaining. Now I know you don't know the definition of bonds asked, so I'm gonna explain it right now. This is how the auction works. Banxico sends an email to the traders of all banks, of 10 banks, and asks them if they, well, not ask them, they force them to participate in this auction rate. Okay, now the way the banks participate is they put an auction rate and an amount, which means this is the amount of CETES they will wish to buy, and this is the rate that they are offering. Okay, so again, this is the amount of CETES they would want from the central bank, and this is the rate at which they want these bonds. Okay, now why a bank would want a bond? Well, because they need instruments to invest to. If they had money from their customers, they need instruments, financial instruments to invest that money in. Okay, so they are buying these instruments from the central bank. Okay, so let's say this is bank number one, or I'm gonna leave it as numbers, but this is just bank names. Okay, 10 random banks enter into the auction, right? So let's assume the bank number one wants 3,500 million or 3,500 million of these CETES, and they want it at 8.05%. Now, before I go on with the other banks, remember one important concept. If the bank increases the rate, they are reducing the price, right? So if they're increasing the rate, in other words, they are paying a lower price for the bond. Okay, so this is an auction. If the bank really wants to get the bonds, they're gonna go low in the rates and they're gonna pay higher prices. You can also see this as if they go low in the rates, they are asking Banxico to pay low rates to them. Or if they go high, they are asking the central bank to pay higher on them. Okay, so if they want to secure amount of CETES, they will go low on rate and pay higher prices, and if they are not very interested, they will go up in rate and low in prices. All right, so this is how I set it up. Okay, this is just random numbers, and each bank will put its rate and its amount. Okay, now this is how it works. Banxico ranks all these banks according to the rate. Okay, so I just use the rank function here, and it will give me the ranking of every bank. The first bank has the highest rate, and the last one has the lowest rate. Okay, now for statistical purposes, Banxico eliminates the first and the last bank. First and last bank. Okay, I'm gonna put this in red so you remember that Banxico eliminates this two. It's just a way of keeping it in the range. Okay, it's for statistical purposes. So eliminating it means that Banxico won't give any CETES to these banks. Okay, now it's gonna start Banxico. It's gonna start with the second lowest rate, okay, or second highest price. So what is the second lowest? Number 9. This bank is just offering 8.03%, okay, and Banxico is going to give it to them. So if he has this money, 1,000 million, and Banxico is offering 17,000 million, then we have enough money to give it to this bank. So I'm gonna put here in amount assigned 1,000 million. Okay, now here I'm just adding all the amount assigned, and in here in remaining I'm calculating how much money I do have in the auction, or Banxico still has remaining. All right, now what is the second? Let me erase this so you don't get confused. So we know these two banks weren't assigned. This one got 1,000 million. Which is the second lowest rate? Let's look for number 8. We don't have number 8 because we have two identical rates. So it's 7. So both 7s are assigned. Okay, 1, so these two were assigned. Okay, do we still have money remaining? So let's look for the next lowest rate, number 6. Number 5. Number 4. Do we still have money? Yes, number 4. Number 3. And do we still have money? Yes, so we're able to assign money to all banks that participated on other than the max and the minimum. Okay, we're gonna assign this total money. Okay, now in here what I calculated is the price for the bond. It's just the present value. I'm gonna do it again. Is face value. I'm gonna fix this over, and this is straight present value, 1 plus the interest rate over 360 times number of days of each instrument. And remember to fix number of days. Okay, that's all I did for each. So you have the price this bank is paying for this amount of bonds. Okay, now it comes the tricky part. For each assigned bank, in order to get the new reference rate, we need to weight each amount times the price, or weight each rate times the amount of money they are asking for. All right, so we have this assigned, this rate. I'm gonna multiply for each assigned banks, only the assigned banks. All right, so we have rate times the amount they assign, etc. Okay, we have now all these weighted averages, all these weights times the amounts they ask. Now, in order to get the weighted average, I'm going to use these multiplications and divide it times the total assigned. Okay? So, if you go and put here just how much you have for all the weights that you multiplied, you can calculate then the reference rate. I was just checking this was correct. Okay, I'm gonna explain again. You add all the weighted averages here of only the assigned banks, and if you divide these weighted averages over the assigned total, you will get the new reference rate. Now, what does this mean? This is the most important calculation here. This means that Banxico is going to publish this new rate in the newspaper. So what you're going to see is this new reference rate in all the banks. This will be the lending rate for just 1 day operations in the financial system. Okay? Now, if you see this number, you'll be able to check it by watching all the rates or seeing all the rates and checking if this rate is within the range of all the assigned bank's rates. Okay, so 8.0697 is within the range of these rates. You will always have to have it within that range. If not, something's wrong with your calculation. All right? Okay. So a little interpretation of this. This is the new reference rate. And remember, we had another mechanism. It's called targeting rate, where Banxico only moved the rates up and down. Remember? Well, now it's using money to move the rate. Okay? What would have happened if Banxico, instead of putting 17,000 million, would have put more money? Let's say let's go with less money because we were able to assign to everybody. So let's think the Banxico auction only 14,000 instead of 17,000. Okay? Well, not every bank would have been able to be assigned by Banxico, which means only some of these banks would have received CETES. Okay? Who would have received CETES? Well, the lowest rate banks. If only the lowest rate banks would have received CETES, what will happen to the new reference rate would be we will have a low rate, a lower rate than this one. Okay? So the lower the amount of money Banxico auctions, the lower the new reference rate. And the higher the auction money, the higher this rate. Okay? Remember, central banks increase rate to control inflation and reduce rates to activate the economy. So if the previous rate, let's say the last auction rate was 8.10%, and the new result is 8.0697, this means that Banxico is trying to activate the economy. They are not very concerned about inflation anymore, and they are reducing the rates. So they are putting money to circulate in the system. Okay, I'm gonna stop it for now. I'm gonna add a couple of explanations about this. Okay, just remember how this mechanism works and what is the objective. How do we calculate this new rate and what is the objective of moving this rate, right?